Once again, a very warm welcome to the program. This is The Morning Call. I am Nyasha K. Matiza. Now, at the end of a recent summit on the Sahel in Pau France, President Emmanuel Macron pledged extra troops and called on the U.S. to maintain its military support to combat a spiraling Islamist militancy. But support for corrupt regimes overseeing abuses by local security forces may be the problem, not the solution. The complex, sometimes contested narratives between the protectors and the protected in the Sahel has sparked numerous debates. In the Malian capital, Bamako, protests have erupted over the past few months, with demonstrators holding up signs proclaiming France dégage, meaning France get out, amid mounting frustration over the deteriorating security situation in the West African nation.
In addition to Mali, the Pau summit did not silence criticism in Burkina Faso against the French forces accused of inefficiency. And even the Coalition for the Sahel announced in the joint declaration to strengthen the fight against terrorism does not convince many in the country. To discuss this, security and defense specialist Dr Maurice Mahounon now joins us from Cotonou in Benin. Good morning. Despite heavy criticism, you believe the Pau summit met all expectations?
Bon, il faut dire simplement que la tenue de ce sommet, surtout les conclusions.
It should simply be noted that the holding of this summit, and especially the conclusions that came out of it, reflects the fact that reason eventually prevailed over emotion. It aroused a lot of reactions. Some even thought it was a convocation, but no. We found that in the end, it wasn't the case, especially when we really analyzed the results or the conclusions of that summit, namely the strengthening of cooperation between France and the G5 Sahel countries, and above all, the strengthening of the French presence in the Sahel. So there is one initiative, which is the famous Coalition for the Sahel. It will bring together not only France through Operation Barkhane, but also the G5 Sahel and its partners, because as things presently stand, I do not see these African countries, especially among the members of the G5 Sahel, as countries that could successfully stand alone against the onslaught of the jihadists, who are increasingly growing in strength, have changed their strategy, and who have become better equipped by the day.
Changer de stratégie et aussi sont de mieux en mieux équipés.
Now, by inviting his peers from the G5 Sahel countries, it seems Emmanuel Macron wanted to get a clear idea of this anti-French sentiment that has followed the January attack in Niger. So do you think that the summit gave a clear answer to this situation?
Oui, les conclusions ici de ce sommet-là sont claires. Donc,
well, yes, the conclusions resulting from the summit are clear. They did not support those who wanted France to withdraw from the Sahel. The conclusions are clear. At the same time, Emmanuel Macron announced the dispatch of 220 additional soldiers. I believe, so the threat is there, and these heads of state are aware of that threat, which today is real, and that is why they have decided to concentrate their efforts from now on in this famous region of the three frontiers, which for some time has been under attack by jihadists. So what was decided in Pau proves that these leaders did not give in to these various criticisms on both sides. But beyond that, it will also take a certain willingness on the part of these different states for the fight to really bear any fruit whatsoever. Last question, Dr. Mahounon. What do you think of the United States' decision to reduce its military presence in the Sahel region? As regards the U.S. position, you know very well that since Trump arrived at the White House, multilateralism has not been a strong point in his policy. He prefers bilateralism. Since then, he has always had this policy of no longer being interested in what happens beyond American borders if American interests are not affected. So, however, the fight against terrorism is not the prerogative of a single region because jihadists today, as we all know, are determined to strike everywhere. So they are also a threat to the U.S. And Trump must understand this in order to know that peace in the Sahel is also peace for the world and even for the United States. So this inward-looking policy that he has been practicing since he came to the White House is not conducive to change. It is true that it may destabilize the French position a little bit. I've even heard Macron say that he will do everything he can to convince him not to withdraw his troops or to withdraw as a whole. So the question now is, will he succeed? But then, one could also imagine that Trump and Macron's advisors could convince them to do otherwise.